All right, ladies and gentlemen, got a video to react to today. Not gonna say too much, but it involves Nightwing. So let's get into it. Make sure you subscribe.
I told you to think of someone with the last name Grayson that wears blue and black, who would you most likely think of first? If you said Mark
Invincible?
Grayson, you're wrong, because the person that should have
bro.
immediately came to mind is Richard Grayson. Unfortunately, over the past couple of years, I've come to realize that most people don't know who Nightwing is. At least not many general audiences, because the only good Nightwing stories or good Nightwing interpretations you get are in the books. And I guess there's kind of some exceptions, like games where he just looks cool but literally does nothing as a character, like Arkham City and Lego Batman 1. But besides that, he's constantly done dirty. Look no further than the DCAU. Nightwing appears in multiple movies, and in each one he's losing battles, getting injured, and overall being an embarrassment. In Son of Batman, Nightwing defeats a bloodlusted Damian Wayne while obviously holding back. And yes, he's heavily injured, because maybe he was caught off guard by a little angry 10-year-old brat being so skilled. You know, fine, it's fine. And it happens off screen, so even better. But why, oh why, did we need to see him lose to Damian later on in the movie? And it's embarrassing because Damian fans will actually use this to put Damian over Nightwing.
He's not.
And how do I deny it? Huh? Why would Nightwing hold back in a training match, in a sparring match, where he's talking junk, Damian's talking junk? Oh, my dad's better than yours, my dad can beat yours in a fight, and then lose a fight. Why would he do that? So it's just very inconsistent, unless Damian just was in a cryo chamber and somehow got stronger overnight and surpassed Nightwing. I don't get it. And Damian is like the complete opposite of Nightwing in these movies. He has the most plot armor, even more plot armor than his dad, Batman. Nightwing has like the bad luck charm. Like it's confusing. Like in one of these movies, right? He loses to Scarecrow so bad that Catwoman has to save him. Why is Selina Kyle saving Nightwing's life? Why is Catwoman comparable in skill to Nightwing? Why? But then we look at Mark Grayson.
She really shouldn't be comparable, but yeah.
That seems to have it all. I mean, he has a successful comic book series. He also has a very successful TV series. And this show is like a one-to-one adaptation of the books, with the author directly backing it. You can't get much better than that. I'd obviously love for any comic book character to have this treatment, you know, any good comic book character to have this treatment. I would love for Batman stories to be directly adapted, for Spider-Man stories to be directly adapted one-to-one into an animated.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're moving in a different direction with Spider-Man, where it's just live action, and then Spider-Man animated movies are really just about Miles. Like, there's a whole generation of people where Peter Parker doesn't necessarily matter to them, technically speaking, but you know, that's another conversation.
Given that they're actually good stories, but out of all those people, Nightwing may need it the most, because Nightwing has no good appearances outside of the comics, except for, say, Young Justice, where he doesn't get much screen time. He gets a lot more as Robin, but there's a lot of people that don't even understand that Robin turns into Nightwing. I've met many people that believe there's only one Robin, and I can't really blame them. They all look the same.
That's crazy. You only believe there's only one Robin? I mean, I guess I can see it, but they're different. Like,
but Nightwing has been around almost as long as Batman has been around. Well, not Nightwing, but, you know, Robin. And that Robin was Richard Grayson. He's the first Robin. He's been around almost as long as Batman himself. And look at how much Batman media we've received. And in 90% of that Batman media, Nightwing is not apparent. Or sometimes a Robin isn't even apparent if we're talking live action. Now, any fellow Nightwing fans that are going to watch this video, if any, please don't take this the wrong way. I know people hate when Nightwing gets compared to Spider-Man, but since Spider-Man is my favorite character, I did see, you know, some little itchy.
He's not on the level to be a comparison, but I'll listen to
similarities in there with him and Nightwing, which I think is part of the reason I like Nightwing so much, is because he kind of fits that same role Spider-Man does in Marvel, but in DC. And again, that's not me saying Nightwing is just like Spider-Man or the other way around. That's me saying, like, they both kind of represent the same thing. Like these street level heroes that even the most powerful characters in the universe have respect for. Like Superman adores and has respect for Nightwing the same way the Avengers or the Beyonder, the one above all, has respect for Spider-Man of all people. And they're like these pillars of hope within the universe, except for look at how much more popular Spider-Man is compared to Nightwing. And I prefer Spider-Man over Nightwing, but even I can admit, even I can see this is a little crazy because again, Robin is one of the most iconic comic book characters of all time. And obviously when you
well, Robin doesn't really have he's not him as a standalone isn't that compelling to people. That's why like Nightwing's different, because it's him growing out of the role of Robin. So that's why it's more compelling. Or Jason Todd, Red Hood, much more compelling. Tim Drake is like the only, other, it's like an outlier, but he doesn't, even him, in terms of being called Robin, he doesn't even really go for it. Like, he's Red Robin, but he doesn't really, he separates himself from just being Batman's Robin. And then like Damian Wayne isn't even Batman's sidekick in the comic books really anymore, like at all. But they all pan out different ways, you know what I mean? And it's Robin doesn't really have an iconic, comic series or anything like that, because so many other people are Robin in the comics. I mean, you say the same thing for Spider-Man, but it's a little different. All right, let me stop.
Think of sidekicks, you think of Robin, you think of Batman and Robin.
Yes.
And that Robin, the first Robin ever, Richard Grayson, grows up into this independent hero, which was what made Spider-Man so different at the time. Was he was a teenage hero that was able to stand on his own without being a sidekick. But Robin actually did morph into that, and it's kind of like he just instantly lost all popularity with anyone outside of comics. You can walk up to a random person, they know who Robin is, they know who Robin is, but they don't know his name. They're not going to be able to tell you if it's Richard Grayson, if it's Tim Drake, if it's Jason Todd.
Not being able to tell the difference is kind of crazy, because you can most definitely tell the difference.
If it's Stephanie Brown, if it's Damian Wayne,
you can tell the difference.
They're gonna say it's Robin. So even in that regard, I mean, Richard Grayson doesn't even get respect as Robin. And I'm not saying in general he doesn't, because people have been glazing Teen Titans Robin as of recently. I don't know how it started, but it is a thing. I have seen the glaze on Teen Titans Robin, and I'm open for it. But a lot of people don't even know that Robin.
Why are you showing his butt?
Robin is Richard Grayson. There are people that make fan theories that Robin is somehow Tim Drake or Jason Todd, but we know that this Robin is Grayson. We know this for a fact because you see a future episode where he turns.
Why does anybody assume that Robin is Tim Drake or Jason Todd? It's clear as day that it's Richard Grayson, Dick Grayson.
Into Nightwing. Even then, even with such a popular version of Robin, not only does he not get respected as Dick Grayson, but also people just kind of forget the fact that he does end up being Nightwing. I know it's not a canon future, but a lot of people don't even remember that episode, or a lot of casual audiences that watched it probably would not even remember that there were an episode or was an episode where he became Nightwing. And if they did, they wouldn't remember his name. Okay? No. Because DC hasn't done the best job at pushing this character, as good of a job as they should. And to make matters worse,
his new comics are
appeared
decent,
in where he was in the forefront of things, Gotham Knights. Boy, oh boy, was that a hot steaming pile of
Gotham Knights isn't
that was not a good look for my boy. Having him there, having him on the cover of such a game. And I don't hate the game. I feel like most games that people consider bad, if they're multiplayer at least, most games could be decently fun with friends.
I just don't think it's that good.
So every time I played it with someone else, it wasn't terrible.
But like, if you play it with somebody, it's not bad.
Why is that like Nightwing's biggest debut in terms of gaming?
Yeah.
Like DC, do a better job at pushing
They
one
should
of
have
your
just made
better
a
characters.
Nightwing
Why
Arkham
would you
game.
not? You are missing out on the
Archetype
bag
game.
here,
That'd have been
DC.
so much better.
Please, you want my money? You want other people's money? Push Nightwing. Nightwing is your way to combat.
My thing is, people are gonna come out of nowhere and say things like, "Bro, nobody wants a Nightwing game, bro. Just give us a Justice League game, and not Injustice. Give us a Justice League game, bro. Nobody wants a Nightwing game." Like, there are people out there that will say things like that. People will say things like that.
All of these other characters that Marvel.
Same people that they're like that don't want a Superman game because they think it's impossible to make a character that powerful have a video game. It's very possible, but that's for another video.
Marvel is pushing out. Marvel brought Iron Man from the floor up and made him the face of the MCU.
Yes, he did.
Iron
yes,
Man.
he did.
Iron Man is not a terrible character by any means, but Iron Man was not even in the conversation of Spider-Man.
No, he's still not, but Iron Man was never really that guy, even in Marvel comics. He was never that guy, for real. And, like, the MCU took Iron Man, made him that guy, and it just propelled Iron Man even bigger. But nobody
and Batman and Superman. Now you can ask someone today who their favorite character is or who they think one of the most popular superheroes is, and some people genuinely will say Iron Man.
That is true.
How is that the case, DC? But you haven't pushed one of your better characters that should have more star power than they do, Nightwing, into being more of a mainstream name, more of a household name. It's just disappointing. So it's
because movies helped capitalize and made Iron Man a lovable character, which in the comic books, Iron Man is not a lovable. Before that movie, before the first Iron Man movie in 2008, Iron Man was not a lovable character at all. He was alcoholic and straight up just crazy. Like, nobody liked Iron Man. I mean, somebody might like Iron Man, but not a lot of people liked Iron Man like that. And the movies made him lovable, caring, made him, seem like a good, not that he's a bad guy, but like a really good guy, just a really good guy. So it did work out.
You need to show Nightwing more love. No matter how that happens, I'm hoping and praying that with James Gunn's new DCEU, we get more Nightwing. I know that there was a Teen Titans movie confirmed to be in the works, and that Batman in this universe already has Damian as a Robin. Now, let's not recreate that DCAU moment with Nightwing and Damian, okay? Nightwing is leagues above Damian in terms of skill, so let's not even pretend.
Well, he's not. He was trained by Okay, so Dick Grayson was trained by Batman. Everything he knows. Damian Wayne was trained by Talia al Ghul and Ra's al Ghul and Batman. He's above him, but he's not leagues above him. I know people are not gonna like that, but he's above him, not leagues above him. That's just my personal opinion. But he should not be losing to Damian Wayne.
And let's not even toy with the idea of Damian being on par with Nightwing, and let's actually give him the respect he deserves.
Yeah.
Please, James Gunn, I trust you.
Honestly, I trust James Gunn. I trust James Gunn. I think James Gunn's gonna do a good job. I think the Superman movie's gonna be good. It's gonna be a start. It's gonna be the start of a really solid DC universe, live action universe. I like the way they're building it, where superheroes are already a thing. It's not like they just randomly appear. Superheroes are already a thing. And the Justice League not existing yet, I actually like that, because the DCAU, the way they did it, the Justice League didn't. The superheroes existed already, but Superman already existed, but the Justice League didn't even exist yet at all. Like, they didn't exist. But I like what they're doing. My favorite Robin is Dick Grayson. But if you ask me as a character after being Robin, I would say Jason Todd. That's it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Grayson that deserves more respect. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys subscribe. Go subscribe to Cloudify's account. Cloudify's YouTube channel. And as always, comment down below if you want to see the next video. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.